Welcome to our stories of hope and faith. I'm your host, Pastor Dave Burrows, and today we have a very special episode for you. We have a special guest who's going to be here with us, so stay tuned. We're going to be right back in a moment.
Our lives are filled with challenges as we seek to fulfill our destiny. Along the way, many of us find the strength to achieve and overcome through hope and faith. Join your host, Pastor Dave Burrows, as we explore and highlight the journeys of incredible heroes from all walks of life who overcame great odds. Welcome to our stories of hope and faith.
Welcome back to our stories of hope and faith. And today I'm so excited to have as our first guest on the show none other than someone who is well known in the community, well known in many, many different circles, and he has a long history of doing good things, and that is none other than DJ Godson. DJ, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Now, you know what's interesting is that I call you DJ Godson because I don't remember what your name is.
Yeah, my name is Maurice Fox.
Maurice Fox.
Spelled F-A-W-K-E-S, and yeah, that's my name.
Okay, wonderful. You know, sometimes because of your gift and because what you're featured by, sometimes people don't even remember your name. But what's so exciting for me today is when we talk about the impact of faith on our lives, you had a very interesting journey.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about, before you came into a relationship with Christ and what happened afterwards. So let's begin way back. DJ Sly Fox.
Yes, sir. Well, I was known as Sly Fox, of course. I started DJing from the age of 14. I was in it from 11, but 14 is when I really got into it. And so I started doing a lot of like house parties and, backyard parties, wedding receptions. Used to play for this guy named Jazen, my best friend, Cameron Deal, who passed. We used to do a lot of the stuff. So we were working a lot. You'd see these young boys working on and handling whatever it is. And then when I went to college, COB first, I started doing a lot of COB stuff and little boat cruises and the Miss Carib Fest, things of that nature. And so I do a lot of dances there. And then I went off. And when I went off is where things really took off, because then I started to do house parties first, and then started playing for this big sound system called Kilomantis. And so I got introduced to not just being a DJ, but being into the dancehall aspect of it, which required me now to talk on the mic, because I never used to talk on the mic. I just used to play music. And so I had to get into that. And I think that helped to bring out my personality came out more in me DJing, as I found myself as a selector and I did clashes, sound clashes, and so then my name grew from and started doing like a lot of clubs. Did the hip, and I was hired for a hip hop club, myself and the DJ Terminator X, who was actually Public Enemy's DJ. The rap group Public Enemy. Me and him used to DJ in a club called, it was Networks at the time.
Okay.
So it was one of the top clubs downtown in North Carolina.
So when you went off to school, you went to school in North Carolina?
Yes, Raleigh.
St.
Aug.
Oh, Raleigh.
Raleigh, North Carolina,
okay.
yeah. So I started doing that, and then calls came to do homecomings, and then this event, and they would call me to do the reggae aspect, because I focused more on reggae being in the sound system.
The reggae and dancehall.
Even though I could play everything.
Right.
So, the name got bigger and bigger, and more and more people heard of me. So I started to play, and the owner of the same club, he became a part owner in this club called Plum Crazy. Plum Crazy was the top club in North Carolina, and it was huge. And so I started playing in there on Thursday nights, and I would do the reggae segment again. And then what happened was, because they saw the crowd, the following that they had a second room that was also big, but it's not as big as the main part. And so they said they would make that the reggae room. And so
Okay.
it became the reggae room. And so it went from Thursdays to now Thursdays and Saturdays. I was playing in this club. And then still doing, the real dancehall stuff on Friday, where they would rent out like places like the Masonic Temple in North Carolina and different places. And, we would be in the dancehall, So it grew and grew. Then I was doing segments on the radio, K97.5, and, so doing big concerts, Bike Fest, you name it.
Right.
So Sly Fox was really a big name in North Carolina.
So your name Sly Fox was both what you use in the U.S. and here in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, right now you started out as a young boy at 14. You expanded, working COB, working local sets. Then you go to North Carolina and you blow up. You get involved in all kind of stuff. Tell us a little bit about some of the artists, major artists, and events that you've been involved in.
Well, I mean, you're talking about artists like Beenie Man. I've did concerts with summer jams where you had like Cash Money. P.D. Pablo is one of the artists from North Carolina who blew up. You had like artists like DOS Effects played to their concert, Ja Rule, you name it. I've done it. And all of the big Sizzler, you name it. And I came home, and what happened was I got stopped, which saved my life. Because I was also living a serious lifestyle over in North Carolina. I was selling dope as well. I was, anyone from the Bahamas getting a fight, I jumping in. I didn't know who it was, why we fighting. I'd find out afterward what we were fighting for. But, it was just that type of lifestyle, putting yourself out there. I used to be around some big drug dealers who I worked for. And, so it was a serious lifestyle I was living. I had to carry, because of who I was working for, I had to carry a gun on me, which I took to school with me as well.
Right.
And so it just was a lot. But I got stopped coming back one day. Trying to go back, and that saved my life, because a few days later, it was these two guys that got into it a lot. They got into it several times. They were friends at first, but one simple incident, and they went to go at each other a couple of times. But when I got stopped and was supposed to go back that very Friday in the same club that I was playing in every Friday night, them two went at it again, and one killed the other.
Wow.
And everyone kept saying, oh, if you were there, he would be alive.
Wow.
But the Lord spoke to me and said, if you were there, you would have been dead. Because I wasn't afraid of the guy who would have shot him.
Right.
That was my boy, and I would have stepped in front. Guns didn't scare me. And so it was just when the Lord revealed it to me. I think it was years later, and he revealed it to me that if you were there, you would have been the one dead.
Wow. So basically, what would you say was the turning point? So was this particular incident the turning point, or what happened to get you to the point where you started to say, well, look, I'm a big DJ, I'm in all of these events, I'm making money and having a good time. I have my hustle on the side. I'm living the life that a lot of young people aspire to. What caused you to say, well, something is wrong and I need to change?
Well, it wasn't actually that incident. At that time, I guess I wasn't knowledgeable enough, if I'm going to use that word. But I guess God hadn't revealed to me yet what really had happened. But I came back and I was DJing here. I was on More 94 as a radio personality, Sly Fox, and DJ as well. And then me and Dion the Butcher started DJing together. Me and Barry the Pusher first in the Zoo, then me and Dion the Butcher, and we became Showtime. And so I sacrificed being on the turntables, and I was more on the mic. And he would spin, because he was not the talker.
Right.
But whenever we got to a concert, it was Showtime.
Right.
And so after years of that traveling, we traveled. We were traveling sometimes. Thursday we in Freeport. Friday we in Abaco. Saturday we in the Luther. We were up and down traveling, doing Waterloo on Thursday nights. This and and so it was in Waterloo when we were playing, doing the ladies' night. The whole Jams crew would have been there, and I remember I started to learn about God, and learning about God, I started to learn about praying and fasting a lot. Not that I hadn't done it before, but I never fasted before. But started to learn about fasting. And so I went on a fast. And I had to go into the club that night to DJ. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable knowing I'm on a fast, but I had to go in the club. And I hadn't given my life to the Lord yet, but I was, trying this out. And that night, the DJ booth was upstairs at that point. And I remember walking out on the balcony because, all of the other DJs was fine, excitement, Butch and myself, the butler, all the top DJs at that time were there. And I remember going out onto the balcony. And as I went on the balcony, I leaned over in the club of Waterloo. And I saw a bunch of demons just moving around really quickly. And I remember jumping back like what is this? And it spooked me because I had never seen anything like that. And so that kind of was a wake-up call. And then they moved the booth downstairs about a month later. And when we were downstairs, I remember on the mic, and I was crazy on the mic. Like, I could grab the attention of the whole club and say something in the club, go crazy, and then I play a song to match that, and it was over. Like, God gave me that gift.
Right.
And I remember that night, we were playing what we would call a gun segment. And so it was all tunes with gun stuff. And while we were doing that, it was like the club was really packed that night because it was a night before a holiday. And I remember watching this guy got stabbed, like literally about 15 feet away. And he got stabbed, and the guy stuck on him. And it reminded me of when I saw the demons, how they were moving.
Right.
And when they separated, he just dropped. And he died a few minutes later right there in the club.
Wow.
And I remember feeling so bad and so guilty because of the fact of the type of music that we were playing, what we were promoting that night, and then to see that happen, So that kind of started my change, my transition. And I started getting into my Bible more. And at a point, I stopped cursing when I was DJing. And I used to curse. I used to cuss when I was DJing. I started off Pastor Dave.
Yeah, that's kind of automatic for
all the sexy,
club,
independent. That was how I started.
Right.
And I remember this lady, Michelle Fox. She says, "Sly, why you gotta cuss so much?" She said, "If we was to hire you," and she was at the corporate company, and that what she said, but I was also reading my Bible. And so it started to make me think.
Under conviction.
Yeah, and so I was like, I don't need to curse.
Right.
And so I started going to DJ and not cuss. And I told Butch, I said, I'm not going to cuss no more. And he used to laugh. He was laughing at me, say, "Boy, you all in the gullies and this and that, and you ain't cussing," but I was at that point.
Right.
I started traveling. We were traveling. I remember going to Freeport with my Bible in my hand, the Abaco, my Bible in my hand. I remember one night even testifying in the club about something. It was crazy. And so, December 2008, November 2008, we would have done Night of Love, the big concert. Barris Hammond, of course, is the headliner for that.
Right.
They had Taris Riley was on that. That's when he would have been coming out hot. And Morgan Heritage was on it. And we were always the DJs for that. And we tore up that night. And a couple of weeks later, this lady named Miss Norma Ash, she was like a mother type figure to me. And she called me. And when she called me, she said, "I got you on the prayer line." And it was her, this lady named Kayla, and another lady, I can't remember the other lady's name. and they were praying. And as they were praying, I was just listening.
So they were praying for you.
They were just praying on the prayer line. They prayed for me too. They said, Lord told them to call and pray, and they prayed.
Oh, wow.
And as they were praying, it's like the Spirit of God came over me. The Holy Spirit came over me. They didn't know nothing. They hung up the phone just like that. And, you know, we talked and they hung up the phone. But what they didn't know was that I had accepted Christ. And I remember that day I came out of the Catholic Church, so I was more reserved and in that sense. But
Right.
I remember that day in my apartment, and I was supposed to be getting ready for work because I'm a guidance counselor too. And then, you know, I remember the Holy Spirit coming over me, and I was running up and down the apartment, and it's like I just was you know, screaming hallelujah and crying out to God, you know. And I remember trying to like, okay, what's this going on? What's happening here? I went in the shower and I was like, okay, I gotta calm this down because I don't, you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
And I went in the shower and I came out, gone again, and it was just over me. And I fulfilled a couple more contracts and with Butcher, and it was different. And
so did they notice that something was happening?
I don't know if he really knew. I know he knew. He knew. I knew he would have seen me with the Bible. I told him about the demons. I remember we were in a plane another time, and I saw these guys talking, and I saw the demons in them, and I told him what was going on then. But I don't think he had an idea that I was going to, you know, walk away.
Right.
But in February of 2009, I called him one day and I said, hey bro, that's it for me. I said, I'm done. You know? And he said, what you mean you're done? I say, I'm done. I'm not doing this no more.
Okay, so from the time when you walked away, did you go immediately into DJing on a more positive tip, or did you take a break in between?
It's a very good question. I took a break. As far as I was concerned, I was done with DJing.
Right.
That's what I felt. I thought I was like completely done. Because I'm a Christian. I didn't even know they had Christian DJs.
Okay.
So I didn't know about, you know, I heard your name on the radio, but I didn't know it was all that was going on either, you know. And so as far as I was concerned, I was done with DJing. And then it wasn't until I think Butcher actually called me and he was like, hey, you know, you doing this Christian thing? He said, I can hook you up with Mr. Links and Manifest. And Manifest gave me some music. Manifest gave me my first set of gospel music.
Okay.
And what he gave me, I still not made up my mind to DJ yet.
Right.
But when he gave it to me, I heard some stuff on it.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh, they have got DJ Fox. And I was like, yeah, they have reggae and all this. And so I didn't know that stuff, you know. And so I was like, and soca and, you know.
Right.
And so it was like, oh, okay, you know. And then it was like the Lord, I got to know God first, personally. And then it was after probably about a year or so when God released me. And then Butcher hooked me up with Links, because we knew Links from when we were in the secular arena.
Right.
We met him. And so he said, yeah, man, I'll hook you up. And he gave me his number, and I joined up with Links with this Zion High thing. And I remember we were looking for a name, because I said, I don't think it can be cool for me to be in the church and they like, DJ Sly Fox.
Right.
I said, I don't think that could work. And then I used to say Sly Fox, a.k.a. Sly Shutter. So I say, Shutter definitely ain't going to work in the church. So we got to find a name. And so Link said, let's go on a fast. And so the entire group, we went on a fast and trying to figure out a name. And I was writing down names and all these, all kind of names. I don't even remember. But I remember at the end of the fast, I had nothing. And Links came to me, said the Lord spoke to me. He said, give the name Godson. And I said, I like that.
Yeah.
And That's how I got
That's how it
DJ
came
Godson.
about. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow. So now tell us some of the things that happened during the transition, and for those who don't know you, what are you doing now? I know because I mean I've seen you, and from the time I saw you, I was like, man, this dude got it. I really didn't know your background.
Right.
I knew that you were a secular DJ,
Yes, sir.
but I didn't know what the extent was or anything like that. But from me being kind of like the godfather of or one of the godfathers of the Christian party scene,
Right.
fun scene, I was like, okay, this dude got it.
Right.
Because sometimes, you have people, one of the things that in my experience in introducing a lot of things into the Christian circles is that you would have people trying to do something, but it's not authentic or genuine.
Yes.
So, they are trying to imitate something in the secular, and it just don't come across right.
Right.
And then you could tell when somebody knows what they're doing,
Yes, sir.
and they also have the spiritual content that they're able to mesh it together.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I saw. So tell us a little bit about.
Well, the transition coming out of the secular arena into the gospel arena, at first it was the first couple of weeks, it was like I was on fire for Christ. And it was like, I think I felt like I was more Christian than any Christian. I was more kingdom than any kingdom citizen. You know how you are when you first, you're the radical Christian.
Right.
And then it's like, then the enemy started to try to tempt me to go back to listening to the music. And I remember going back to listen, and it's like, yeah, man, if you listen to this is a good song. You can listen to that. And then I started to listen. I say, you know what? I took my laptop and I highlighted from the top to the bottom. I'm talking about 20, 30,000 songs. And I deleted every last one, threw into the trash and deleted the trash.
Wow.
Everything. And so it was difficult. It was difficult at first to being used to going out a certain time. So I found myself up 12 o'clock. I would get up on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because that's what I did in the secular arena. I'd sleep, and we'd wake up at 12, and Butcher would call me, or I'd call him, and we beat it. We start playing in the club about 1:30.
Right.
So that was a transition. And then, just reading and being, I remember New Year's Eve, the first New Year's Eve, and I was home. And it was so weird to me because I'm like, just New Year's Eve, you home.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a lonely process as well.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because
I went through the same thing. I went through the same thing where I was like, man, I knew I wasn't going back.
Right.
But I was like, how can I really make it? Because this is a desert,
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the positive things that happen in your life, what that meant and how that has impacted your life, and what has it done for other people?
The good thing is, I learned along the way. I had to find myself, getting to know who I was first, whose I was, and what did God have me here for. Like you said, many people come into this and they try to imitate things. I searched and asked God, what is it that you want me to do? God has placed me in a place now where I'm on the radio on Joy FM, and then He has me where He wants me to do a lot of outreaches.
Right.
So I do Jesus in the Park. This is going to be the 10th anniversary of Jesus in the Park, which is an outreach, that incorporates singing, dancing, rapping, the reggae aspect. Sometimes there's acting in it, and it's out there to win souls. To be, so God called us to be fishers of men, and this is one of the ways that I go fishing.
Right.
So had me now doing the Crazy Praise Party. Right now we're in the Stop the Violence edition. So there's something to help combat the violence and let people know there's a better way, And so God has me more on doing the outreach. But wherever I go, there are persons, of course, that hire me to DJ, churches, some churches that do. And so wherever it is, I have an opportunity. I share my testimony to let them know, hey, I was here, but look what God has done, and look where I'm at now.
Right.
You know, it's made me a better man, a better guidance counselor. It's made me a better father. You know, it's made me a better husband. It's made me a better man, period. You know, because of allowing God to work in me. And so, you know, I encourage people, you know, just let go and let God hear what he has to say. You know, see
Right.
what is it that he has for you? What's the purpose that God has you here for? And you have to be genuine with that.
Right.
Stop. Don't worry about what this person over here is doing, what this person over here is doing, because God has an army. And I always say this: if he all called us for an army. If the Bible was about one person, it would have been just about one man. That's it.
Right.
But
Right.
he had an army of people.
Right.
And so Pastor Dave may could reach this group of persons, but hey, I can reach another group of persons. Someone else can reach another group, and that's what the army does to help to broaden God's reach. You know, through us. You know, we are the hands of God. He's using us as vessels to do His work.
Right.
You know.
Well, you know, I mean, what's interesting is, you know, as I have observed you from the transition, I've been really impressed. Like the stuff that you've done at Youth Alive. Now, you know, I'm not in the scene like how I used to be.
Yes.
You know, but whenever there are youth events and I see the production, what it says to me is it gives hope to a lot of young people, because a lot of young people feel like, well, in order for me to have fun, you know, I have to be vulgar. I have to do the shoot 'em up songs. I have to do the negative stuff, and you know, it's almost like you become a Christian, and then you go into a desert where there's nothing. But here it is. You know, you're coming along. You know, we have things like Youth Alive, you have the praise party of Jesus in the Park, where it's telling young people that, look, you know, you can enjoy your life, you can have fun, but it doesn't have to kill you in the process.
Exactly. You know, Friday was a prime example of that. The last crazy praise party, and I saw young people out there till almost 1 o'clock in the morning, dancing, having fun. Young men just having fun, dancing and praising. Young people crying out to God. You know, and this is what it's about. You know, for these same young people, like you said, to understand. Hey, I don't need to have a beanie in my mouth. I don't need to smoke a black. I don't need to smoke weed or get drunk in order to have fun. I could be drunk in the Holy Spirit. I could be high off Christ, you know, and so this is what, you know, this is the message that I want young people to understand, or anyone for a matter of fact, because there are some older gents, when I play to some places in certain communities or outreaches or in parks, and they're like, hey, that's gospel.
Yeah.
You know, and so it you know, gets them involved.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I remember when sometimes I used to do concerts in the park, or I'll do events, and people would be like, that's gospel? And, you know, it freaked them out. They didn't believe it's possible.
Yes.
But, you know, I thank God that what we have seen as a result, you know, from the work that you've done, from what I've done, we've seen a lot of people's lives change for the better. And not only did they understand that they could have fun, but they became better citizens. So they became better husbands,
Yes.
fathers, business people, just good people overall. So thank you very much for your contribution today. This is our first show, Our Stories of Hope and Faith. And I believe today that you would have really been blessed by the story of DJ Godson, formerly known as DJ Sly Fox. I got to find out a lot of things today about his history and his background, and it's really exciting to see what God has done and what his faith has done to change his life and make him a better person. So thanks once again for watching Our Stories of Hope and Faith, and we have more exciting guests coming up in future episodes. So keep watching and keep sharing and liking and spreading the news about Our Stories of Hope and Faith. Thank you. God bless you.
Thanks for watching Our Stories of Hope and Faith. We trust that today's program has inspired and motivated you to succeed through your journey. Connect with us today to share your story of hope and faith, or to let us know how this show has impacted your life by sending us an email at ourstoriesofhopeandfaith@gmail.com.